Choice overload. Making personal choices is generally embraced, and we feel content with the best decisions available. More options can lead to increased satisfaction, right? Well, not always. More choices don't always equate to better outcomes. Researchers Sheena S. Iyengar from Columbia University and Mark R. Lepper from Stanford University examined this scenario in their 2001 study on choice overload and motivation. Here are the key findings from their research. Study 1. Jam tasting booth. In a grocery store, a jam tasting booth offered either 6 flavors, limited selection, or 24 flavors, extensive selection. Researchers measured participants' intrinsic motivation through 2 factors: initial interest in the booth, post-visit purchasing behavior in the jam aisle. Findings: 60% of consumers who encountered the extensive selection booth paused to taste, compared to 40% of the limited selection booth. Increased variety and choices attracted more visitors. Only 30% of visitors from the limited choice booth subsequently bought jam, while just 3% from the extensive choice booth made a purchase. Result: while extensive choices draw initial attention, they do not boost motivation as effectively as limited options. Factors to consider: consumer intent influences purchasing. Seriousness about buying jam versus simply sampling 2 flavors matters. Social pressure and time constraints may have swayed extensive choice individuals. Beliefs about limited options being more special could have impacted buying decisions. Gender differences were minimal across conditions. Study 2. Writing and extra credit. Introductory college students had a chance for extra credit by completing a 2-page writing assignment. 2 conditions. 1. Limited choices, 6 essay topics. 2. Extensive choices, 30 essay topics. Intrinsic motivation was evaluated through 1. Essay completion rate, percentage of students submitting the essay. 2. Essay quality, rated based on form and content. Graders were unaware of the hypotheses and conditions. Findings: 1. Essay completion rate. 74% of limited choice students submitted assignments versus 60% of extensive choice students. 2. Essay quality. Limited choice participants received better grades than extensive choice participants for both form and content. These studies illustrate that while extensive choices may be more enticing, they could hinder motivation compared to limited choices. Individuals seem to prefer the ability to choose among fewer options. Results: students were more inclined to write essays for extra credit when faced with just 6 topics, rather than 30. Higher quality essays were produced in the limited choice scenario. This leads us to wonder, what exactly does choice overload entail? With more choices, do we simplify and strive to end the process of deciding by going with the satisfactory choice, aka satisficing, leading ourselves to feel less confident over our own choices? Study 3. Godiva chocolates. 4. Dependent variables. Measured. 1. Initial satisfaction with the selection process. 2. Expectations about the chosen options. 3. Satisfaction after tasting Godiva chocolates. 4. Subsequent purchasing actions. Findings: the data contradicted the researchers' hypotheses. Both groups reported using the satisficing heuristic. Extensive choice participants felt more responsible for their selections and reported higher dissatisfaction than limited choice participants. Despite finding the decision-making process enjoyable, extensive choice participants found it difficult and more frustrating than limited choice participants. Difficulty and frustration measures were correlated, while enjoyment and difficulty measures weren't. Supporting Study 1 and 2, Study 3 revealed limited choice participants were much more satisfied with their sampled chocolates than those in the extensive choice condition. Results: 48% of participants in the limited choice condition were more likely to select chocolates as compensation, compared to 12% in the extensive choice group and 10% in the no-choice group. Extensive choice participants enjoyed the process of choosing a chocolate more from a display of 30 than 6, yet were more dissatisfied and regretful, and less likely to choose chocolates over money as compensation for their participation. So, what's happening? Extensive choices are appealing to us choosers, yet we undermine our ability to choose through the possible demotivating effects and lowered satisfaction. We show greater effects of choice overload when choosing for others than for ourselves, and when we perceive choices as significantly worse or better from each other. We exhibit greater aversive behavior to choosing, And in an extensive choice context, there's a higher tendency to disengage from the choosing process, leading us to greater dissatisfaction and regretfulness over our choices. Wow, there are so many options. So it's not ideal right now to choose this jacket, but I guess it'll have to do. And then regret kicks in. And perhaps you may not even return for a repurchase. In making choices, we feel burdened by the task of distinguishing good from bad. We worry about regret and the costs of poor decisions, often feeling pressured to invest significant time and effort to make informed choices. And even when we need to choose between alternatives, such choices on an extensive level tend to demotivate us. And there's a great choice overload in such a context paired with higher aversiveness in us to choosing. Rather than simply feeling unhappy, we often feel more unsure, striving to distinguish good options from bad ones, using decision-making rules that rely more on emotional responses than cognitive. We may lean toward aversion when choosing for ourselves, often feeling the need for expert advice, leading us to surrender decisions for others to make, to a more expert person. Hopefully, this discussion clarifies why we are drawn to numerous options, while sometimes feeling dissatisfied with our selections. It prompts reflection on whether our perceived best choices were influenced more by the context or our reactions than by the decision itself.